I want you to try something with me. It's a visualization, and it can be a little unsettling, so just brace yourself. Imagine you're standing in front of a mirror. But this isn't your normal bathroom mirror, no toothpaste splatter or anything. This is a mirror that only seems to appear when you're in the grip of something really, really intense.
Those moments where the ground just feels like it's dropped out from under you.
Exactly. Maybe you just got some devastating news, or you've been betrayed, or maybe it's a joy so fierce it almost feels dangerous. And in that moment, you look up, you catch your reflection, but something's wrong. The face looking back at you, it isn't quite yours. The eyes are too wide, the mouth is twisted, it feels distorted, alien. And the instinct, the immediate gut-level feeling, is to look away. Fast. Like you're afraid that image might actually follow you out of the glass.
And that flinch, that's everything. That instinct to look away is the real starting point for what we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Because that refusal to look, in my field, Gestalt psychology, we'd say that is you refusing to let an emotion become figure.
And that is exactly what we're deep diving into today, the mirror lie. We're going to unpack this whole architecture of perception, why we feel like strangers to ourselves in those moments, and this really unsettling idea that our emotions might not even, belong to us in the way we think they do.
It really is a conversation about a structure of reality itself, where you have to challenge the idea of you as some kind of static thing.
Okay, so let's ground this before we get too abstract. You just used a term, figure. You said looking away is refusing to let the emotion become figure. Now, most people hear Gestalt and they think of, those black and white optical illusions. What does figure actually mean in, my emotional life?
So at its core, Gestalt is really the study of how we organize experience into meaningful wholes. The main idea is that we don't just passively receive reality, like a camera.
Yeah.
We actively shape it. We organize it based on what stands out and what recedes. And that dynamic is figure and ground.
Okay, so figure is what I'm focused on, and ground is just the background noise.
Essentially, yes. In any given moment, for reality to make sense, something has to be the figure. It's the thing that emerges and demands your attention. Think of a melody rising above the noise in a coffee shop, or a loved one's voice cutting through a crowded party.
Or physical pain. Like if I stub my toe, that sensation absolutely becomes the figure. It overrides everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's urgent, it's vivid. And normally we allow these things to become figures. We listen to the music, we nurse the toe. But when it comes to intense emotion, we do something completely different. When a powerful emotion tries to rise into figure, that's the face in the mirror starting to distort with grief or rage, we don't let it form.
We flinch. We look away.
We do more than flinch. We actively disrupt the process. We rationalize. We say, I shouldn't feel this, or this isn't really me. We try to shove the figure back down into the ground.
Right. We scroll on our phones. We make a joke. We numb out. But that works, doesn't it? If I don't look at the monster, it goes away. That's how we get through the day.
Well, that's the great illusion. In Gestalt theory, when you reject a figure, it doesn't just vanish. You can't just delete it. It gets trapped in this limbo. It becomes what we call a ghost figure. It's not fully conscious, but it's not gone either. It creates unfinished business.
Unfinished business. That sounds like the tagline for a horror movie.
And it can feel like one. Think about suppressed anger. Let's say you experience a real injustice at work, but you decide to be professional. You swallow it, you smile, you think you've moved on. But that anger, it doesn't just dissolve. It lingers. It becomes, a tension in your jaw, a sharpness in your tone 3 days later, a sudden irritability with your partner who did absolutely nothing wrong.
So the anger is just leaking out the side door because I wouldn't let it come through the front.
Precisely. Because it's an incomplete gestalt. It's waiting for resolution. It's lurking in the background, and it distorts the entire field of your experience. You think you're seeing the world clearly, but you're actually looking at it through the lens of that ghost.
This brings us to a really uncomfortable question then. Why do we do this? Obviously feeling bad feels bad. But is it just about avoiding pain? Or is there something deeper that we're afraid of?
I don't think it's just the pain. If it were just pain, we'd treat it like that stubbed toe. We'd yell, and then we'd move on. The fear is about something much more fundamental. We aren't afraid of the emotion. We're afraid of the threat it poses to the coherence of the self.
The coherence of the self? You mean my story of who I am?
Yes. We are obsessed with continuity. We like to believe we are stable characters. I am a rational person. I am a kind person.
Yeah.
We think of ourselves as nouns, as fixed objects. But intense emotion just shatters that illusion.
Right, because grief can make a stoic person weep. Rage can make a gentle person completely unrecognizable.
That is the alien face in the mirror. It reveals that the self is not a fixed object at all. It's a dynamic process. It's fluid. And that creates what you might call existential vertigo. If I change with every feeling, then who am I? Where's the anchor?
That is, yeah, that's actually terrifying. It's like the whole narrative we've built just dissolves. It reminds me of Jean-Paul Sartre. I remember he talked about emotion as a magical transformation of the world. I always found that phrase beautiful, but confusing. What did he mean by magic?
It's a fascinating idea. Sartre argued that when reality becomes unbearable, when the figure is just too threatening and we can't fix it practically, the body tries to escape by changing perception itself.
Changing perception, like hallucinating?
A bit more subtle. Think about fainting. If you get terrible news and you faint, that seems irrational, right? It doesn't solve anything. But Sartre would say that's the body's attempt to magically get rid of the threat by getting rid of the consciousness that sees it. Or think about laughing hysterically in a crisis.
It's a desperate move to just reconfigure the game because you can't win by the normal rules.
Exactly. It's an attempt to make reality bearable again by just changing the filter. It's magical thinking made flesh.
Which brings us to the body. We can't talk about this without talking about the physical experience. Merleau-Ponty had this idea that we don't have a body, we are our body.
Correct. And that is so crucial for understanding why we can't just think our way out of feelings. Emotion isn't something you just observe from a distance like a cloud. It's the world resonating through you. To feel fear isn't to think, I'm afraid. It is to become a trembling organism tuned into danger.
But hold on, so much of modern culture, and I'm definitely guilty of this, seems to train us to distrust that. We're obsessed with keeping it together. We mistake stillness for strength. You know, if you're not crying, you're strong. If you're not yelling, you're in control. Are you saying that's just wrong?
I'm saying it's a deep misunderstanding of what regulation even is. True regulation, in a Gestalt sense, isn't about flattening the field. It's not about being a flat line. It's about the wave.
Yeah.
You have to allow the figure to emerge, to crest, to break, and then to return to the sea.
So control isn't a dam, it's more like surfing.
It's allowing the flow. If you dam the ocean, the pressure just builds and builds until something ruptures.
That reminds me of something I heard once. The emotion isn't the problem, the resistance is.
That is the absolute crux of it. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is what happens when we refuse to meet that pain with presence. And this brings us to a concept that sounds a bit academic, but just bear with me, because it explains why the world looks different when we're emotional. The word is isomorphism.
Isomorphism. Okay, break that down for me. It sounds like something from a geometry class.
It does, but it's very practical. Isomorphism is just that your inner state and your outer behavior, and even how the world appears to you, all share the same structural form. You don't have anger like it's a marble in a jar in your chest. You are in an angry field.
So when I'm angry, it's not just an internal feeling. The actual world looks different.
Exactly. This is why just calming down is so hard. When you're in an angry field, your attention narrows to threats. Your muscles tighten. The world itself appears sharp, aggressive. You notice the guy cutting you off in traffic. You don't notice the sunset. That entire experience is the gestalt of anger.
And if I try to just stop it without changing the whole field?
You create a conflict. And usually, we interrupt that flow with something we call introjects.
Interjects. So these are the voices in our heads.
Yes, but not in like a clinical way, in a developmental way. They're the swallowed voices of parents, of culture. Big boys don't cry, nice girls don't get angry. These judgments invade the field. So instead of just feeling the wave of sadness, you feel sadness plus I am weak for feeling this.
And that second part, the judgment, that's what contaminates it.
It prevents closure. A contaminated gestalt can't complete itself. It gets stuck.
Yeah.
And the cost of that is massive over a lifetime.
So what does that do to us long term, other than just feeling tense all the time?
It fractures time. This is a really profound point. If you were shamed for crying as a child, that gestalt, I hurt, I cry, I am shamed, it never finished. It never resolved into comfort. So now, decades later, when you feel sorrow, that old unfinished pattern just hijacks the present moment. The past colonizes the now.
So I'm not really reacting to the bad day I had today. I'm reacting to the ghost of the past.
Precisely. You're reacting to a parent who isn't even there anymore. You aren't present. And if you do that enough, if you block enough figures from forming, you develop sensory anesthesia.
Sensory anesthesia sounds like just going numb.
You literally train your attention to look away from your own needs. You become blind to your own longing, your own anger. And when the mind refuses to see the figure, the body takes over.
The body keeps the score.
It absolutely does. Unspoken grief becomes insomnia. Unacknowledged fear becomes hypervigilance. The body starts speaking in symptoms because we won't let the figure form in our awareness. The symptom is the figure trying to be seen.
Okay, so if the problem is blocking the figure, the solution has to be insight. But I want to be careful here. In, self-help culture, insight usually means analyzing yourself until you find the root cause. Is that what you mean?
No, and this is where people can get stuck for years. They think if they just understand why they're messed up, oh, it's because of my dad, that they'll be fixed. But analysis is just more thinking. It's just rearranging the furniture. Insight, in the Gestalt sense, is a total reorganization of the field.
Can you give me a more concrete example of that?
Think of those visual puzzles, the black and white splotches. You stare at it, and it's just chaos, just ink. Then suddenly, it's a Dalmatian dog.
Right, and once you see the Dalmatian, you can't unsee it.
Exactly. Now, did the ink change? No, the page didn't change. But the way you organize the data is shifted. That's insight. It's a new configuration. So healing shame isn't about listing your flaws. It's suddenly seeing the whole picture differently and realizing this isn't about me being unworthy. This is about me having been unseen.
It shifts from being about a defect in me to a story about what happened.
And the paradox is, the more you allow yourself to fully feel the emotion, to let it become the figure, the less power it has over you. Because emotions are verbs, not nouns. They want to move.
Well, I want to get specific because we run from the so-called dark emotions. Shame, rage, despair. If we stop resisting them, what are they for? Do they have a function?
They're absolutely functional signals. Take shame. We treat it like it's toxic. But in its raw form, shame is just a signal that you've violated a connection you value. It says, I care about belonging.
That's a huge shift. Instead of I'm bad, it's I value connection.
Exactly. It's proof of your own social humanity.
What about rage? That feels like the most dangerous one to let out of the box.
Pure rage. I mean, not the kind that just blames everyone, but the raw energy of it. That is a boundary made flesh. It signals, my dignity matters. This is not acceptable. To suppress it is to abandon yourself.
And despair. That feels like the hardest one. We just think it's giving up.
We mistake despair for hopelessness. But thinkers, like Kierkegaard, saw despair as the collapse of a false structure. It's the shattering of an illusion that wasn't serving you. It clears the ground for something new.
It's an invitation to presence. I like that. But I want to push this one step further. We've been talking about the self, but there's this concept in phenomenology, the flesh of the world. It zooms out way past the individual.
This is the deepest layer, and it really challenges our whole idea of the isolated self. What if that figure in the mirror isn't just you? What if it's a world looking back?
Okay, you're gonna have to walk me through that one, the world looking back.
The idea is that we aren't isolated feeling machines locked in our skulls. We are nodes in a sentient field. We are part of an ecosystem. So when you feel grief, maybe it isn't just your private property. Maybe it's the grief of a world that's unraveling, the sorrow of collapsing ecosystems, or eroding trust in our societies.
So my personal feeling could actually be a symptom of the whole system.
Or joy. Your joy could be the universe celebrating itself through your experience.
That is a beautiful, if slightly overwhelming thought. But if that's true, the implication is massive.
It is. It means if you shut down your own emotion, you aren't just silencing yourself. You're muting a voice the world needs to hear. You're blocking a feedback loop for the whole system. You are a sensory organ of the earth.
It makes the mirror lie even more profound. The lie is that we're separate, that the face in the mirror is just my problem to fix by myself.
Correct. The mirror is a threshold. It's a point of contact between you and the whole.
So let's bring this all the way back.
Yeah.
We started with this visualization. Standing before the mirror, the distorted face, the rising emotion. We know now that looking away creates a ghost. So what do we actually do in that moment? What's the practical move?
The move is to look past the face, to look into the space behind the glass.
Into the unknown.
And here's the final revelation. You don't fear your emotions because they are too much. You fear them because they are not enough.
Not enough. That sounds completely counterintuitive. It feels like way too much when I'm in it.
It feels like too much because it's blocked, it's pressurized. But what it really is not enough witnessed, not enough honored, not enough lived. We try to manage our emotions, analyze them, fix them. But the figure in the mirror doesn't want to be understood. It wants to be lived. It wants to complete its arc.
So it's not a problem to be solved, it's a process to be continued.
Exactly. The goal isn't resolution, where everything is tied up in a neat bow. The goal is continuation, flow. The mirror is an invitation to let the world move through you.
So the next time that fear rises, that tightening in my chest, and I want to just check my phone, I shouldn't ask, why am I feeling this?
No. Why? Just leads to more analysis, more distance. Instead, ask, what is trying to be born through this feeling?
What is trying to be born through this feeling?
And then don't try to answer it with words. Just listen with your body. Let the figure form. Let the wave break. That's how you find your way home. Not by fixing the reflection, but by inhabiting the entire field.
It's a terrifying and beautiful thought that the things we're running from are actually the doorways we've been looking for all along.
They always are.
That's quite a place to leave it. Thank you for taking us through the looking glass today.
It was a pleasure to explore the field with you.
And for everyone listening, next time you catch that glimpse in the mirror, don't look away, lean in. We'll see you in the next deep dive.